Hello, and thank you for joining us on episode number 8 of Unbreakable Mothers, our first appearance here at Maxwell Studio. What an honor and a privilege to record here. And for my first guest, I have a new friend, Allisa Dwyer.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We met not too long ago, maybe a month ago or so, at a realtor event, and I had overheard her talking about motherhood and just all the things that come with that. And I thought, who better to bring on the podcast than a mother of four who is a high achieving woman here in Naples and kind of just pick your brain.
I appreciate that. Yeah, like we said, it was just kind of like talking like old friends when we met. So I
Absolutely.
love that you are doing this. I'm so excited to be here,
Thank you.
and I appreciate the chance to share. I don't think I've ever really shared too much
On a
of the
personal
story.
level, right? We do
Correct.
a lot of business
Yes.
networking and talking publicly or publicly speaking, but
Sure.
is it ever on that level, right?
No.
So when I heard you talking at the broker event, I was like, "Oh my goodness, like what a powerhouse." So first, what do you do for work? Let's start there.
Sure. So I am a managing broker with John Arwood Properties.
And that's like super high functioning, super high priced properties, right? I mean, we're talking million, $1 billion.
Billion-dollar office.
Yeah.
This is a recent promotion to this role, beginning of this year. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I absolutely love what I get to do every day. I am obsessed with real estate. I can talk all day long about that, but at the end of the day, my position changed from sales to more of this coaching role, which
I
I
love that.
love. I'm so passionate about teaching and supporting other people in their business. So
And you can tell you really love what you do and helping people. And really, in any capacity, you can do that. You can help people in any industry, I think.
yeah.
But it shows how much you enjoy what you do. And again, being at this event and you looked gorgeous. You were just effortlessly networking. And then I hear you talking about your 4 children. And I remember being like, no way. Like, there's no way this girl has 4 kids. For one, you look amazing. Like, you
Thank
look, you've
you.
never had a child. And then 4, and I have 1. And in that moment, I was just like, she's superwoman.
Oh.
Like, how does she do it all?
Well, the hardest transition is 1 to 2. After that, they're all kind of on their own. So
Everyone for themselves.
fend for yourself. No.
You do, you become like a different I only
Oh
have the
my
one,
gosh,
but I've
yes.
heard you
Yeah.
you become a different mother in the different stages.
Yeah, with my first, who is just went into middle school. She is 11. I know, going on 12, going on 20 in her mind. But I did all the things. I cooked her food. I blended my own baby food. Everything was sanitized. My fourth, they are absolutely right. The passy comes off the ground and right back into the mouth. So
Good for their immune system.
that's what they say. So we're going with it. But
Yeah, no, it is funny how it changes. I was so big on screen time. Like, I'm not going to
Mhm.
let my kid, and as I'm a single mom, so sometimes that's my only option. And especially high achieving, if there's events or there's meetings and I need her to come with me and be well behaved, well, we're going to do what works.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think that's really what we connected with. I was a single mom of those 4, and the other woman we were speaking with at the realtor event, that's how we connected, was through just time as a single mother. And you're right. You do what you have to do. I remember
Yeah.
pulling up to houses when I was still selling, and I had an SUV that had the TVs in the back, so I could play videos for my kids. But then I would find that my customers' kids would jump in the SUV. They'd
Oh,
all have like a little movie date, so we could go see the house. So it
that's
works
awesome.
so well. We just do what we got to do. And yeah, it's funny. We always say, "I'm never going to do this and that," or "I'm going to protect the screen time." And no, you do what you have to do to survive sometimes.
You never know. You never
No,
know what you're going to do until you're in that situation, you
absolutely.
know?
Yep.
And with that, so single mom of 4, of course, I respect all mothers, love all moms, but I think it just attests to a different level of strength when you're a single mom and you carry that weight on your own. And in our discussions, we found we have that in common too, that it wasn't a um, peaceful or co-parenting sort of situation, to polar opposite, that in spite of the challenges and the traumas that we were facing, we were able to overcome these things. And that just, again, puts it at a whole different level. Being a single mom is difficult for all single moms, but when you're escaping or surviving domestic violence and that's the father of your children, so you can't just leave, you can't just run away, right? That's
Right.
always going to be a topic. You've made a child with them, right?
Mhm.
And I don't want to say struggle, but it's forever a developing as she gets older and as time goes on, right? But please touch base on that for you. I guess my big question is, what was that determining factor that made you leave? Say, hey, I'd rather struggle on my own than here.
So, and you're right. We do so much to protect our children that those stories don't get shared because that is the father, and you
Yeah.
don't ever want them to have to carry what their father did to their mother.
Shame or guilt. Yep.
So you don't share it. And I mean, that's a whole different topic when it comes to the support systems and the way that the system works with domestic violence. That's an entirely different, like I said, conversation. It's a broken system. And so it came to the point where I was literally pinned to the ground by my neck. And I just remember, I don't remember the fight that caused it. I don't remember what we were even arguing about, but I remember thinking this could either be it or this is not going to be my story.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the moment I said, this is done. I think it was like 74% of women. The numbers are staggering, honestly, when it comes down to domestic violence. But the cases where there's actually a fatal attack, it's
Yeah.
74% women are
It's
the victims.
terrifying. And I have full body chills because in
Yeah.
speaking to you, I had the same strangulation. I don't know how many times I didn't report or didn't say anything. Maybe this was the 100th time, but it finally left marks, finally scared me enough. And I finally built that courage to make a report. And that what started my journey. But you're absolutely correct. There's so many who don't make it out. And as women, I think we have this level of compassion. Like, obviously, you wouldn't be with someone if you didn't see something wonderful in them at some point.
Sure.
But people have dynamic personalities. You can have, it's not an and or statement. You can have both. Someone who's a great playful dad, but a really aggressive, violent husband or partner, right?
Right.
And how old were the kids when that turning point sort of happened?
My youngest was 3 or 4 months old.
So you were still recovering
Yeah.
essentially from
Yes.
having the baby.
Yeah. And you said something that finally left the mark, where you get the proof.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff lasts. It lasts. And that's why these conversations are so important. So again, I do appreciate you creating this platform to have these conversations because so many people are in it. And it's so easy to blame the woman. Well, why do you stay? You could just leave.
Yeah.
No, you can't, because in true domestic violence situations, normally it's narcissistic abuse. They have crippled you financially, crippled you mentally, and it's not as easy as just opening up the door. I actually sat with a cop. The one of the final episodes that had happened, I sat with a police officer who said, I can't do anything about it because there's no marks and the children will never be used to testify. So the only people that saw it don't get to testify because they just believe that the children will be unbiased or that they will be biased towards the mother and protecting the mother. So they can't view that as truth.
Wow.
So even though everybody knew about it and they know that the children are being exposed to that type of treatment,
Yeah.
there's nothing that the system will do. And so it's not as easy as just get up and walk away.
No, you
Because
have to
then you're
have
blamed.
proof and evidence. I'm not sure for yours. In my situation, there was drug usage, and that was a safety thing as well. Obviously, I don't want you driving our daughter around. It brings a whole nother level of safety to the situation.
Yes.
And same, I was told I would have to hire a private investigator and not only physically on camera catch him using the drugs, but that my daughter had to be in the frame for it to matter. That I had to in that same, you had to see her in the car too for it to qualify in court or what have you. So as you mentioned, like once those marks were there, I actually had the police officers beg me because they did know of the dropped cases and the back and forth for years, and they were like, you need to like this is
You have
something.
proof finally.
Do something with it, and quite honestly, I don't think it was maybe a year later that I finally they keep it, they allow it to stay open for you to press charges, and thank God that they did. This is up in Maryland, in another state before I moved to Florida. But even that took me another year to finally press the charges and finally put it through. So when you did, was it immediate separation? It was a fight in the court, I'm sure.
It's a never-ending fight. We, by the grace of God, kept it out of the court for this reason.
Really, this whole time?
This whole time, because
I commend you, because that's not easy to do if he's a narcissist.
it should have been done, and those are things I have to live with and decisions I have to make. But that same police officer who told me they couldn't do anything without proof told me that they will still get 50% because the attacks were on me and not the children. And so, out of caution, I guess, or stupidity, or blind faith, or fear, or whatever the word is there, we established a plan that worked, that they still get to see him, but it's not true 50-50. So it was my way of protecting her as much as I could.
And I commend you for that, because to still, so to this day, he is still involved, I would assume. So I commend you for that. My story was a little different, where I had to fight for hard and for 2 years. But once I did, it was pretty solidified. I had full custody. I was allowed to leave the state. I think the distance definitely helped as well.
Sure.
Still a fear, like, of if he'll ever pop back up, or more so when, because it's not an if.
Sure.
I mean, it's a when, or when she'll have more questions. And, you cross those bridges, I think, as you get to them. But I really commend you for actively navigating through that, because I don't know that I could. Like, I don't know that I would have the strength to continue to do that.
Sure. Yeah. And it's more of, we don't always have the strength. I don't always have the strength. Sometimes it's just the better option of two evils.
Yeah. Pick your poison.
Exactly. Or pick your poison, pick your battles, whatever. I chose mine, and so many stories are not like mine. There are worse stories out there. There are
very much so.
It's really, truly, every time I have a conversation, I was just at lunch with an agent, and same thing. She had been through domestic violence. Like, the more that we talk about this, the more others feel comfortable just to come forward with their story, because any act that makes you feel unsafe, unsure, puts you down, degrades you, drains you mentally, drains you financially, all of these things, it's abuse. We need to start calling it what it is.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to hit you for it to be abuse. And so that is, again, just why I think sharing these stories is so important.
There's so many different versions of it: financial abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse. There's so many ways that a narcissist, or just a lost person. Because I say this because we chose them. So I take full accountability. I'm not one of the women to say, like, oh, this guy, I picked him, So I can't talk too rough, right? But people change and dynamics change. You mentioned with the kids too, and that was in my situation. He had never harmed my daughter.
Right.
He had never even spanked her. Like, I did the disciplining, and that carries weight, that it's very, for some reason, it's separated. But for me, it was knowing that if he was capable of it, then he's capable of it. you know?
Yeah. Well, and you're right. And people show you their colors. So, as far as like changing, or because we get told that a lot, like, oh, just pray harder, or just maybe you're loving him wrong, or maybe it's something you're doing, bite your tongue. He could change. And I say he because that was my experience. I'm not the one that comes on and says it's all men. It's not. There are definitely both cases. So in my experience, he was never going to change. He chose how he treated me, and he showed me those colors. And you're right. We have to take accountability for, maybe it didn't start out that way, or we were blinded by love and didn't see all of the massive red flags that were before us. But people show you their colors, and it is scary to know that the kids have to grow up and learn that themselves.
Yeah. Again, figuring out those boundaries and figuring out when those lines are drawn, and when to pivot. Because that wasn't part of the plan. It's never part of the plan, right? But at a certain point, you decide, okay, this isn't okay. We need to pivot. And even further the healing journey thereafter. Okay. So you leave, but the psychological rebuild, like it takes a lot to rebuild yourself. And again, I say it from experience. So to see you and the way you know, orchestrate a room or just maneuver through conversations, you have this confidence about you that I would have never thought that you had experienced something like that. And maybe it is the people who go through the hardest things that end up having that, right?
Right.
But what did that healing journey look like for you?
So there's a couple of pieces to that I'm still working on, because these types of traumas,
Constant.
it it stays with you. There are times where I've had meetings all day long, the social battery is drained, and I just have to lay on the floor because I know a panic attack is coming on. Because your body, those symptoms, it stays with you.
Yeah.
And there might not be an explanation. There might not be something that sets you over the edge. You just have to come into yourself and remind yourself that you're safe now. And so I think that, when we talk about our healing journey, it's not, oh, I've done the work, I'm all better. It lasts. It lasts. So I think that when we talk about the journey, it's something that I'm still working on and I work on daily, but it's a daily choice that I get up and I say, this isn't my story. That's not my identity. I am this. And so when I say there's a couple of steps to that, for me, it was, okay, here's the acknowledgement that this is what happened to me, but that's not my future. And then, we also say, well, I'm broken, or there's something in me that needs fixing. And I think we have to change that phrase. I think we have to change the way we talk about ourselves.
Absolutely. Self-talk is so
Yeah, it
important.
is. And I mean, I see all of these videos and it's like, I survived. And to be very honest, I didn't survive. That version of me died in that moment. And it allowed me to be reborn into something else.
That's so beautiful.
So I think we have to give ourselves grace, that it is a daily choice on how we speak to ourselves. And it's changing who we see ourselves as. You and I also connected over our faith. I would
Yes.
not be standing here
Yeah.
without my faith. And that was the prayer. God, I surrender.
And that's all that gets you through when you get to that point.
Mhm.
And I think that is a sort of magic because when you're at that kind of rock bottom, that's all you have, you
Mhm.
know?
Yep. And there's the phrase turning pain into purpose.
Mm.
And so that was the other prayer. I surrender and use
Use
this.
me.
Use me. Here I am, Lord, use me. Um, Let my pain speak. If I reach one person to show that it's possible, because I'm where I'm at in my life right now. Oh my gosh. If I could go back to the version of myself I was 3 years ago and tell her what we've done, she
Fall
would
out
have,
on the floor.
yeah, never in a million years would that version of me believe it. So,
Agreed. And same. I can say the same, you know? It's wild how we grow through it,
mhm.
you know, and change so drastically. But it is, I can't attest it to anything but God.
Yeah.
And it almost gets me like giddy
Mhm.
now because I'm like, if he got me through that,
Mhm.
like you haven't seen anything yet, you
Right.
know? And it's almost exciting, like,
The
yeah. I
possibilities.
really don't
Mhm.
fear much now, and it's my faith. It's
Right.
not like, oh, because 'cause I've been through hell and back, which attests
Which,
to it.
we
It
have,
plays
but
a part, but, like, it's really the hope and, like, I've seen what he can do. I've seen how he'll introduce me to someone just out of nowhere
Mhm.
and the way he works in mysterious ways, you
Yes,
know?
very much
Even
so.
just putting it on our hearts that, "Hey, this isn't our story. This isn't what I want for my child or
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
This is not okay." Because again, not everybody has that.
Right. Right.
And you're now currently married,
Mhm.
right?
I
You're
am.
remarried,
Yes.
and I admire that
Mhm.
because like you said, I feel like I'm still healing
Mhm.
it comes in ebbs and flows. You know,
Right.
there's days where I'm like, I've got this and I can mentor someone else. And then there's days where I'm not my strongest self and I'm feeling weak.
Sure.
Um, so just what does that look like? Trusting
Yeah.
again and not, you said, you know, I don't have anything against men, just
No.
that man,
Mm.
you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was all about the level of communication that he was able to come to the table with. And for me to be able to say, these are the pieces of me that I still work on. And if
Yeah.
you can become my partner in working on that, then we're going to be fantastic. And it was never of, oh, I need a partner. My children need a father or any of those things. It was, I have become the version of myself that deserves a man to be my partner. Or that man deserves me because I did the work to become this woman.
Absolutely.
And I think that was the changing um, factor was let go of all of the past. He is not my past. I have done the work to become the version of myself I'm proud of, and God blessed me with him. And so there is absolutely hope. It becomes so vital to be so intentional on the version of your life you want.
Yeah.
There's that vision, and I think we talk about affirmations and manifestation and all of that like it's an opposition to faith, and really they
It's the
go
same
hand in
thing.
hand.
And as we were talking
Yeah.
about, negative self-talk or the abuse from a narcissist being verbal, it is the same thing. If you're told every day that you aren't anything and
Mhm.
you're not worth anything, eventually people start to believe that. But if
Right.
you, to the same extent, tell yourself, I'm amazing, I'm capable of
Mhm.
anything I want, I can accomplish anything, you
Yeah.
get there too.
Right.
It works both ways.
It sure does, but you have to be so intentional in what your life is that you want to build, because you're never going to find that partner who can support it until you know what it is you want.
Yeah.
And the conversation I was having over lunch, we talked about this. I was so shut off and protected, and I built a life around being a single mom. It became my identity.
I love you bring this up because that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
A lot of
It's
women for years, I'm talking like 4 plus, 6 plus years, stay in that
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. And there's no timeline. There's no perfect time.
Yeah.
I know women who stayed single moms until their kids were out of the house, and then they started dating again, and it was beautiful. They're happily married. So
Yeah.
there's no perfect timeline on that. If you would have asked me 2 years ago if I was ever going to get married again, the answer would have been hell no.
Big eyes.
Big eyes, no.
No, thank you.
No, not for me. But it's because I was so content with who I was. I had built something I was proud of. I was on the career path that I loved and I was passionate about. And because of that trauma, I didn't see that a man could complement that life. And so I protected it. And I built up these walls. My room was all pink, all of it. It was pink. And it,
This is
it just
my
was.
house.
It's my house.
My
It's
house and
mine.
my bed.
My car, I had the frilly Tesla with the doors that popped up. Everything I had was designed around this identity of I
Yes.
am a single mother. And, there was just a moment when God put it on my heart was I can't bless you if you're closed off.
Mm.
And so I had to open my life up to that opportunity that I could be loved, and I could be loved the right way. And it wasn't until I did that he found me,
Yeah.
because we had no mutual connections. He was in Barcelona, Spain when we met. It was just such a God thing.
I was going to say, it sounds very like when you were ready and you were aligned.
Yeah, it just there was nothing I could have done. It was not my power in any way. There was nothing I could have done to find this man. It was just like God was saying, "Here you go." And so making myself open to the opportunity changed everything. And I think, we talked a little bit about it, but it's the word surrender.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it a step farther because women, especially in our hustle boss lady culture, we don't like the word submission. Um, but that word changed everything because when I was, I was going through the hustle, I was going through the grind, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to build my life a certain way. It failed every single time. And it wasn't until I submitted to my faith and said, have it, do whatever you want with me. That's when everything lined up and changed.
Yeah.
I got married. I came back a week later and got this promotion. I was set up to go to an entirely different office.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows that. So, you heard it here. Um, I was set up and scheduled to go to another office. And that morning I was at a meeting just driving around Aqua Lane, and I just said, God, I don't feel like that is where I'm supposed to be. At lunch that same day, I found out this opportunity became available. And I put myself and said, I want this instead.
Yeah.
And it all happened. And it wasn't in my power. It was just fully submitted. Here I am, Lord, use me. And the life you have for me is far better than I could ever design. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to get out of my own way and stop trying so hard.
I admire it so much because that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in that control. And I love that you touched on that like as strong women, we almost become overly strong and abrasive. And that was never on my bingo card. It
No.
wasn't what I wanted to do, but here
Right.
we are, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to take that step back and recognize like the softness of it. I used to say I hate all men. And now I'm like, well, I there's good ones and there's bad ones, just like you said.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful though that you can step back into that trusting yourself. I guess more so trusting him,
Right.
and that faith is what brought you there, I'm guessing.
It is. It completely is. There's no other explanation because every single time I tried to do it my own way, I failed. And so true faith is so beautiful. I hate cameras. I hate
You're
microphones.
doing phenomenal.
Thank you. But with you're like, we have no script. I'm like,
Did I scare you? I try to just
A
keep it
little.
authentic,
But
you know?
and it is, and it's better this way. But the old me would have never walked in this door, and this me is like, God's gonna say whatever somebody needs to hear, so I don't have to be afraid
And he
anymore.
does. And that's kind of what I do here, like
Yeah.
he'll put it on your heart to speak up when you need to or when you should, and he'll do the same with me, pull the right questions out or bring the
Mhm.
right topics up.
Yeah.
I do. I test a lot of everything I do to faith. But I'm still in my way a little bit. I need to work on my control.
Yeah, I am, I drive a manual now because I am in such a control freak that I wanna physically drive the car.
Yes.
So I still struggle with that. That is like I said, it's daily grace. We work on ourselves daily, and today I wake up and I'm tired. The next day I wake up and we've got this, and
Kicking ass and
it's
taking names.
exactly, and it's all through grace. I mean, you have to give yourself grace that we don't have it all figured out, and it is super scary to let go of that control.
Absolutely. I
It
think
just is.
because when you go through something so traumatic and
Mhm.
and I always joke, I'm not going to follow a man blindly to hell. If I'm
Love
going to
it.
follow you and submit and be submissive, what you had talked, I want to believe in what you believe and I want to trust where you're leading me.
Mhm.
And I think when you have that trust broken, it is hard to build back.
It
And
is.
it takes someone really, really special to do that.
Right.
And maybe even just a support system, maybe not even putting it on a man in general. I love that
Exactly.
you found love again, but friends, family,
Completely.
coworkers, what have you, just having that support to trust again and
Yes.
not feel the need to control everything.
Yes. The tribe. You got to find your tribe. It
Yeah,
certainly does not need to be a man or a partner or whatever. It can be who you surround yourself with. I am an avid believer that what's that saying? Show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you your future.
absolutely.
Huge believer in that. And so I do think that is just so important. It's a big piece of it, and just
Especially
working on it daily.
with the kids,
Yeah.
the phrase "it takes a village." I mean, it really does,
Yeah.
especially when you have big dreams or you want to achieve more than just being a mom. I mean, it's not just being a mom; it's the
Right.
most important job we'll ever have, right? And that needs to be our top priority. But
Yes.
in doing that, I want to show my daughter that you can still be high achieving, you can still own a business or do what you love, step out of the norm,
Yep.
the rat race 9 to 5 shuffles and what have you. You
Right.
can do whatever you want. If she wanted to go be a doctor or an artist, a musician, I would support her either way,
Of course. Yeah.
And by doing what we do, I think that gives them that strength,
Mhm.
that like drive to want to do those things and not limit themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, that is my why. It is
Yeah.
my why for all of this. It's they are looking up at me,
Yeah.
and I have to be able to tell them, hey, if I can do this, you absolutely can do anything. And we are their role model. So yeah, their little eyes looking up at me got me through. I mean, yes, faith is there, and my mom, she is local, my mom and dad, and they've helped with transporting the kids and things that I would have never been able to do.
Yeah.
We figure things out. I get that, but at the same time,
No one
I
can do
owe
it
so
alone.
much to them.
No one can do it alone.
Yeah, so I think that's vital is having that tribe. But I think too is the pressure that we feel. sometimes, like you had said, if I find the one to follow or to submit to, but we forget the other side of that sometimes, that submission doesn't mean I will follow you and do whatever you want. You have an identity. And like the actual boss woman, the Proverbs 31 woman,
Yes.
she bought fields. She worked. She grew the family assets, and she honored her husband and her family. And so I think when we take on that identity of you can be the boss that you want to be, that doesn't mean you're not submitting. So I think there's a mindset shift there that we have to have. But I think it's hard to do if you're not around the right people.
Absolutely. No, for sure. You have to have a good support system, and you have to actively try every day. It is 100% effort to do all of the things. Especially you said yours is going into middle school now.
Yeah.
Mine is 8. She'll be 9.
Oh.
So I'm a little before that, but I already see how is that? How are you handling all of it? Because they grow and they change, and we grow and we change, and business changes, and things are very seasonal out here as far as our free time and if you're busy or not.
Yeah. It's been hard. There's no other way to say that. It's just hard. She is becoming this beautiful young woman, and there's a part of us and part of me that feels so guilty that she had to grow up while I was growing up too. And so to see her, becoming this woman, and I feel like so many of our precious years were stolen from me. I get emotional over that. And it's things that, you get the moms that are crying in the car line. Normally I'm the mom that's like, oh my gosh, take this child here. But when she was, please help me. When she was walking into middle school, it really hit me that those years are gone. And now we have to focus on the next phase. But again, it's when you're open to things. I always thought my children would grow up in private school. And that wasn't in the cards for me. I've come to peace with it. They are in public schools, and I'm still
They're great.
processing it. But here in Naples, they're fantastic.
They're fantastic. I looked at private schools, and I'm thrilled with the public schools out here.
Yeah.
Up where I'm from, it's like you have to put the kids in private school for safety.
Just safety.
There's metal detectors. So
oh my gosh.
We're in Naples. It's pretty nice.
It is so nice. But again, it was just, we were walking out of Meet the Teacher Day at her middle school. And for, again, just another God thing, this coach was standing at the door, and he pulled us to the side, and he was like, "Are you believers?" And we said, "Yeah." And he's like,
see the glow on you.
Something. And it was just like, it was the hug from God that I needed. He actually pulled us aside, leaving the Meet the Teacher Day, and prayed over us.
Oh my goodness.
In a public school.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So it was a moment that was just, you're going to be okay. She's going to be okay. Because he loves her way more than I do. God loves her way more than I do. So it's been hard watching her grow through some of the things she's been through, and being open to have those conversations, these hard conversations that we have as adults.
Yeah.
Children that have been through this need to have these hard conversations too.
Absolutely. So
that they know there's a safe place to talk about them, and it doesn't have to be that way always, that there are good people out there.
And solutions, and you can pivot when need be.
When need be, it's okay to just wake up one day and say, this isn't my story. I want something else.
I want to do better than I did yesterday.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. You are not, I think we're put down sometimes for just changing, and we did something wrong, or we messed up, or why didn't he stay, or there's all of these things that are directed at the women, and it's okay to just say, this isn't going to be my future.
Yeah.
And change like that with no explanations. Nobody is owed an explanation.
Absolutely. Just because you want to.
Just because you want to.
It's on your heart.
And I will be the victim in a lot of people, or I'm sorry, I will be the villain in a lot of people's story. And I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
Because they never asked my side of the story.
Yeah.
They never got the chance to know that I'm not really the villain, unless you make me one. But
well, and oftentimes when someone paints someone as a villain, it just lacks that emotional depth in general. Even when we were talking about abusive exes, I'm not here bashing. I'm logically saying, hey, it just wasn't a safe situation. We weren't good together. I'm not saying he's a horrible person. It's all his fault. When people talk like that, there's usually like a lack of accountability.
Right.
And Yeah. Let them blame you.
Exactly.
As you
We made our
move
choices.
on.
We live with the consequences daily, and yes, we move on.
And
It's okay.
everybody does live with
Yeah.
those consequences. And the fact that, you can be the strongest version of yourself for your kids to
Mhm.
guide them out of it and to show them what real love, the kind of love you
Right.
want and aspire for. Now you have that and they can see that.
Mhm.
Maybe they saw fights before, but now they see you being loved properly. And that's a
100%.
beautiful thing.
It is. It is. I'm very, very blessed and grateful that they still have a bit of their childhood left
Oh,
to see
yeah.
different.
Oh, yeah. Is your oldest a girl? You
Yeah.
said she's young.
Yeah.
And
Resilient.
like her
And a little bit
mama.
scary sometimes.
I do. I always think I see so much of myself in my daughter, and I'm like, she's going to give me a run for my money, but in the best way
Yeah.
imaginable. Like, I know she's
Absolutely.
going to do amazing things. And,
Yep.
and if nothing else, that's really reassuring.
Mhm.
You said mom guilt, and I think I question myself a lot. I think a lot of moms have the mom guilt and
About
wish we could
everything.
do things
Yep.
different. And
I work at home. I work.
no matter what you do,
Yeah. No matter what you do, you can't win
we're
sometimes.
hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think, given the circumstances and the situations, you should be very proud
Thank you.
of where you're at, where your children are at, and what's ahead.
Thank you. I am. And I think it all comes back to identity. Who do you want to be? What do you want your story to be? You can't lose yourself in any of it. If you love the gym, I mean, that's my stress relief. That's where
Yeah,
I go to just kind of let the world go. If you want to be the career person or whatever that looks like for you, you have to be so strong in that vision,
find
and
your
you
passion,
have to
follow
know.
it.
Yes, visualize it, speak it into existence because it's out there. Um, you just got to go for it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
and
you.
talking about these hard topics and being vulnerable, and inspiring and uplifting, not just our viewers, but me. Again, the
Thank
reason
you.
I wanted to bring you on is because there is a light to you, and you don't get that with everybody. When I'm drawn to someone, I know that there's a reason for it. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and showing the other side of it. We're not victims, we're not survivors.
Nope.
We're new
We are
people
whole.
entirely.
We are whole and yes, we are all new. So thank you for creating this platform to be able to
Of course.
speak up and say what needs to be said and to inspire others. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in.